good for us.
Yeah, there we go.
It was still worth it, but it doesn't pass. I wasn't that much. It was only
Paid 4,700 today.
Oh, no. This is I probably paid $750. But the best part was, they come in and they say, it's $300 an eye, but if we do this extra process, which will give you a better result, it's another $150 an eye. And so I'm like, yeah, I want the discount. I want the discount on my eyes. Are you kidding me? No.
Yeah, I want my eyes done by the cheapest bidder.
Yeah, exactly.
I had cataract surgery. They did say, "That's what I paid extra $1,000 a night for the lasers down my hand." I said, "Okay."
Yeah. That's a no-brainer.
I trust your hand, Doc, but no, I'm okay with laser.
Uh-huh. You start messing with your eyes, you put it out. But what a difference.
That's what he said. As soon as he walked out, he said, well, when he woke up, or when he opens his eyes, he can see the clock. Where he couldn't see it before.
Yeah.
But you still wear glasses though, once in a while.
And you will for reading as you get older, John. Like, you'll need to change. Yeah, he told me, he said, you got pretty good eyesight for a long time, like thanks, but okay.
Yeah.
But you're going to need cheaters. I can't fix both.
Yeah.
So I'll have to drive with them out.
So I got one eye for vision, for distance, and one eye for vision.
Yeah, it's like that. The technology is
Still
better
wonderful,
today.
but
I don't know. Oh, that's good stuff.
what's that?
I don't know.
That's his stuff.
You want it, because you're getting better every day. Hmm? Or you'll get blind enough.
Twice and still didn't.
Really?
Let's go. Yeah, see.
Mine's fine. I can still read road signs, no problem.
We represented a guy, an older guy, they did it wrong, and he lost his vision.
Oh, shoot, yeah.
Completely blinded him?
Almost.
Can't fix it.
These were the early days of it.
Yeah, those are the horrors.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we'll start with the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah. That's extra copies. Okay. Approval of our minutes from our previous town board meeting, October 19th, 2022.
So move, John?
Motion by Mr. Martin, second. Second by Mr. Bershkevich. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Okay, now, our budget being presented tonight for our public hearing. Raised our tax levy amount up to 4.570 million, but our tax rate is still $2.72. Just to give you some correlation, in 2014 it was $2.73, and in 2006 it was $3.23, $3.16 actually, and $3.23 in the village, and now it's $2.72 for both the village and the town. So, in the budget, we have a few projects at the park we're going to be able to get done. Andy's got a couple of things he's gonna get done that are extra, a little more paving. Given the inflation rate and how much equipment's going up, and I've said for a while that salaries are gonna be the thing that drives the tax rate. If you wanna keep good people and hire good people, you're gonna have to pay, and it's not only our sector, but it's business sector and every place else. So, with that, I need a motion to open up our public hearing for our 2023 budget, please.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Gibbons, second.
I'll second it, John.
Second by Mr. Martin. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, carried. Is there anybody here to speak for or against the 2023 budget? Mr. Ranger, you got any questions?
Yeah, just some simple stuff. We able to meet with most of the department heads?
Yes, we met with all of them.
Yeah. How's the assessor looking at the equalization rate?
Equalization rate's dipping down,
Yeah, which,
unfortunately.
that's a bad indicator.
Yeah, it's, well,
Revale.
it's a good indicator if you're going out the value of your house, but it's a bad indicator if everybody else is going out.
Yeah.
So we took a dip, I think it's 83. I think it's 83, our EQ rate. Yep, 83, and at the county, we're looking at, even with the equalization rate, the county tax rate is gonna stay the same there, so, you know.
I noticed that the, judges area is still way down in revenue, hopefully.
You noticed that?
Yeah.
Yes, very way down.
Yeah. So hopefully
So
maybe,
there's nothing that we can,
maybe after the November, maybe we'll lucky enough to get some people there. Not afraid to, fine you.
yeah,
put you in
yeah,
jail.
yeah.
Do you know what you're gonna do with the parks as far as?
We got some one-off projects we wanna do with the nation money, like, I wanna put a new kitchen in the Parks building, cause they, you know, that's all old stuff over there. Andy's gonna replace, the culvert at Sullivan Park. That's part of the one-off projects. I forgot what else. We're looking at, maybe, doing outside of the Troopers building, cause the siding's getting bad on that, it's rotten already, so put up something that's maintenance free. You know, maybe, stone 3 feet up and then vinyl siding the rest of it, something like that.
Air conditioning for the Legion.
Air conditioning for the Legion.
AC, they got some problem there.
Yeah, that's still a headache, that's been a headache since we put it in. Some one-off stuff that we don't put in the budget, that we pay for with the nation money, and that'll work out good.
I was gonna ask Andy about some of the CHIPS monies and, we're recovery, if there's anybody who told me that they're looking pretty good. So I guess,
It's gone up, they've done a good job with what they've gotten, and he's gone down, let me speak for you, go ahead. He's gone down,
No,
lobbied.
we've really gotten some real good increases over the last few years. Unfortunately, everything was up 30 to 40%, so that kind of still comes back as a negative, but at least it's up, so. We should be in good shape, and we usually are. We're very fortunate in the highway department to have a good budget and a board that supports us. And you always did, and I appreciate everything you guys do. It's very helpful. And the community does too, so we get a lot of good positive feedback.
kind of a good thing that you got some of the equipment you really did a few years ago, just, so they could be untouchable today almost.
Well, we're looking at, $350,000 for the next new truck. Where just a couple years ago, we were paying $250, which was a lot of money, cause I think the time before that, it was $210.
I did see it tap burning again, that was smart.
So the equalization rate, we played that, we did it, 14, I think we did it, something like that, and we've been playing that as everything's been going up, and we thought maybe it would come back down, but I think this Micron deal is gonna play a big part of, what goes on here and every place else, so.
From what I see and hear over at Black Media, I think that probably gonna see some strong growth.
Yeah.
Basically about 10 miles from Bridgeport to this new site, so.
Well, you're gonna see a deer, we're a bedroom community, we're not gonna see heavy industry here, we're a bedroom community, people wanna live here because of the parks, because of the services that we provide, and, they don't want that stuff, they wanna escape from that, and that's why we're gonna have the growth that we have in housing, where you can. We're putting together something down at the county right now to identify us, Casanova, Lincoln, Lennox, the Ryder, and Georgetown, what the build out, what can be built on in those communities.
I think the guys that, over there in the Bridgeport area, they're already starting to develop and get things set up, I think they're gonna be in pretty good shape.
Yep. And the good thing is, I'll tell you, because we haven't seen you in a while, I've got 4, 5 actually, people interested in lots in the business park. Donna Von Pardisi with some senior housing. Mary Beth Sparaglia, she wants to do something there. We're talking to she's talking to an asphalt company. And when I talked to her the other day, it was just the company that houses equipment. Now she says it's an asphalt plant, so I don't think we're gonna go that route. So I gotta talk to her again about that, and, of course, we got a motorsports, retailer that's looking at a lot down there, so, you know, we're kind of filling up.
With the residential growth, it's right there probably on the cusp of some sort of grocery.
Yep.
Even if it doesn't reach our side, you know,
I think it's gonna come to our side, it's gonna spill over.
hope so.
But we got good, because we got good schools, we got cheap tax rate, we got good services.
I get a lot of feedback from folks in school.
Yep.
And they're moving here for that.
Which will put pressure on the school.
Is the enrollment up in school?
So, we planned on it going down, it's been pretty stable.
Pretty stable.
And we're, you know, we'll see where it goes in the future. We've got a lot of students coming into our district.
There's a lot coming in. We thought it was gonna decrease, but it's
Yeah.
not quite done that yet. It's gonna start going up, I think.
So, good?
Yeah, most of the other stuff I got, the thing I opened up this one. I only have one from, what did I get from you?
The draft,
Yeah. the
there's
draft.
nothing that's really
No,
changed in the draft.
some of the requests way on the right were nullified here, I'm good.
The requests were requests.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Kerry.
Yep.
Art, you got anything?
Well, I don't see the Oneida Indian Nation payments, if any, on the revenue sheet.
We gotta ask Beth how she did that. We don't put it in the budget because, like I said before, we use that for one-offs because that money is not guaranteed every year. So if we put it in the budget and we budget for that and we don't get it, that's $750,000 we gotta make up on the tax levy. So we don't do that.
Put a portion in it, so there's 1189 right there. So you're budgeting 360, because you're not knowing how much you're actually gonna get.
So we've used that for one-offs, we paid for the fuel depot over to the highway garage, we used some of that money for, Great All, and Andy's paid it back. Like I said, we'll do the kitchen with it and outside of the building.
Tennis courts.
Tennis courts, there's other tennis courts, we got tennis courts coming up again that we've gotta do.
To the roof at Sullivan Park.
I gotta try
Yep.
to bring it.
Stuff for the parks, equipment for the
Yeah,
parks,
Exactly.
all that kind of stuff. So we've been very fortunate to get that money and, we're trying to maximize it to the best of our ability. What?
To the highway too.
Yeah,
Sounds
yeah,
like a
yeah,
lot.
as I said, the the depot,
Most
the Home Depot, fuel depot.
Here's, put up more speed bumps.
Yeah. So we try to do that with the county too, use it for one-offs, for equipment that's gonna last a while and all that kind of stuff, because you don't know if it's gonna be there. And I think, to Carrie also, I don't know where we're going next year. Salta was in saying that, the state's borrowing capacity is gonna diminish greatly in the next 5 years. So our sales tax has gone up, and I think with the internet sales tax, being somewhat of a bump to the towns and the counties, the state is gonna be looking at, they're looking at a shortfall, they're gonna come looking to pick our pocket somehow, whether it's Medicaid, pension money, the hospital money. Luckily, the hospital money stayed out this year, where the year before, Mr. Cuomo took the hospital money out away from us, so you never know with the state. Don't forget to vote on Tuesday. So, Harry, you got any other questions? Good? Okay, thank you. Art, you good? Okay. You guys all set?
I'm good.
Okay, motion to close the public hearing on the 2023 budget.
So, second.
Motion by Mr. Berskevich, seconded by Mr. Martin. Is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Okay, adopting the 2023 budget, any motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Berskevich, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Montroy. Is there any discussion? Okay, Mr. Montroy.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Gibbs.
Aye.
Mr. Berskevich.
Aye.
9 and 9. Carry. Okay, our intermunicipal agreement between the school and our highway department, finally getting around to doing that.
It's informal paperwork.
So, I need a motion for that, please.
I would move that.
Motion by Mr. Martin, second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Montroy. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Put that one to bed, thank you. Okay, authorization for granting an easement to Madison County. John will get with John Reagan, our facilities director down at the county. We need an easement, the county needs an easement off the east end of the building, you know where the other little shed is, where they put all the chairs and all that kind of stuff, just off of Lori's office towards, Great Syracuse.
Okay.
Okay, you need like a 20 by 20 area there and an easement because, when the broadband project starts and the fiber comes through, it's like a switch hut and they need to put a switch up there. That's a good place for it.
I'll contact.
Okay, so you want us to vote on it now?
Yeah, then I'll be authorized.
Okay, so we're gonna authorize an easement and then we'll work out the details.
Yep.
Everybody good? Yeah, call it. Okay, need a motion? What?
There's no culvert pipe through there, is there?
No, no.
There's a swale behind you. Excuse me.
Yeah, there's a little swale behind it, but it runs, north and south. We good? Okay, need a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Gibbons, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Martin. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Okay, state required update for municipal code enforcement programs. Larry's here, so we can ask some questions. Do we really have to do this?
New York State, in their Part 1203, changed the regulations to reflect the International Code Council requirements. So they had to rewrite the whole part, and they decided to just adopt a new one, and every municipality has to put it in their local law this year.
But did they make the code more onerous and restrictive?
No, it's the same building code. It's just, it has come from the state down to the, all the departments, blah, 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 blah. And that's what's being changed, because they had to enumerate everything.
So they remunerated everything, they didn't make the codes more stringent on everybody?
No, that only happens when they adopt a new code.
Okay.
And we're under the 2020 code now. Probably won't get a new code until 2024.
We sent an email out a while back that kind of highlighted some of the changes.
Yeah, so are we gonna have to, so that will go in front of us, the 2024 code?
No, the state will adopt it. And then I have to enforce it.
So if we don't go along with this, you won't adopt the 2024 code?
We're out of the code business.
Oh, don't set that up.
Then you have the state.
I'm sure there'll be a lot of happy people in that.
Well,
Then you have the state step in.
And Larry.
I'd like to
looked over
see that, now I would like to have a week with that one.
all the changes that Larry had asked for, we just finally got in there. And they're in my version
Yeah.
I have that Jill has in her email box and I have here.
Has everybody looked at the changes?
Larry, you said, you wanted to remove item 178 from section,
Yeah, number one is, the sheds.
do you have it in front of you by chance? Is that over on page 6?
Yeah.
What was 8?
8 was, repairs.
Okay. I couldn't find it.
Under the building code, residential code, there's a section on repairs, level 1, level 2, change of occupancy, blah, blah, blah. So, we can't put that in there because it doesn't mix with the requirements of the residential or building code. Number 1 was the sheds, 144 square feet. That's an old law that's been sitting on the books since 2020. But if we left that in there, there'd be sheds right on the property line, people would have 30 sheds in their yards.
No,
Oh, yeah,
25.
25, yeah, 25. You got any other questions on?
and number 7 was about repairs of equipment. And under the energy code, there's a lot of stringent requirements now if you replace a furnace. Obviously, you must have heard that, the state wants to start enforcing soon no more fossil fuel appliances. That would be, which I hope doesn't pass.
Oh, they already passed it. It's all a bunch of crap. They already passed it.
But national,
Okay? We just need to hope we get a new governor that shelves the whole stuff. And don't forget, there's election next Tuesday. So,
I mean, I get people taking their $400,000 home, spending $50,000 on heat pumps through National Grid that are electric. And I try to tell people, rather than do that, take that 40, 50 grand, put R80 in your ceiling, take off all your siding, insulate the outside of your house, replace the windows, and you'll be less than what you're spending now, and you will have spent less on the product. Because these people are financing that stuff over 30 years.
well, see, this is what I'm getting at. That the state in all their infinite wisdom is giving people advice that is not gonna work out. You know, no more gas stoves, no more gas hot water heaters, no more fuel oil furnaces, no more gas furnaces. You know, it's ridiculous.
Especially in the Northeast where we've got
Right.
plenty of gas.
All right,
So all you're doing is setting this down for public hearing.
That's what I was gonna
I
say.
should have said that first, I'm sorry.
okay.
So you'll get another chance to crap on it next month.
2 more weeks.
John can't wait.
These are.
No, we're doing this at the December meeting.
Oh, we're doing it
Yeah,
together,
I
okay.
need time for my publications.
Okay. So I need a motion to set the public hearing.
I'll move that, John, for the December 7th meeting.
Motion's been made by Mr. Martin, second? I'll second. Really? You're gonna second that one, Second by Mr. Montrose. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried. Okay, our hydrant for Poolsbrook, request for a hydrant, so we just gotta okay that with Aqua. It's standard. I need a motion to be able to sign that agreement with Aqua.
So move, John.
Motion by Mr. Martin, second. Second by Mr. Gibbons. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Okay, Harbor Lights traffic study. Did get a letter from, a lady down in, Renee Rudd from down in, Harbor Lights, that they are looking at looking for a traffic study on, Route 31 again to, move the speed limit down to 45 miles an hour. So my suggestion is we give it over to Andy and he can give it to the county or give it to the state. Is that okay with you? They just did this 2 years ago, I think, didn't we?
If they did it 2 years ago, so we can look that up tomorrow, right, and see. I don't know if the area change that they're asking for, or if it's the same.
The rest, it's the same. It looks like it's going down further past Harbor Lights in the park.
Right, so I guess it really depends on what they studied the last time. But if they studied the same thing, it's not gonna.
It's
change.
close to it. It's close to it.
It won't get changed.
Yeah, that's it.
But, you know, that's why I hate to ask for a speed study if they just did it 2 years ago and you're covering the same area. If the area is different, that's fine, but in a 2 year period, it's not gonna change. They don't.
Well, maybe we look and see if, when this was done, if it's in 2 years, let's hold off. And if we can get those businesses into the business park, then let's ask for the traffic study again, because that's gonna congest things down there.
So, I mean, it doesn't cost us to do any, but it really is wasting a lot of time if it's the same area.
Andy, would you share if you find that? Would you let us have some of that so we can see what it was?
Okay. Next two, we need advice from council on, and no budget modifications, no firefighter applications. Carrie, you wanted to talk about, Airbnbs?
Yeah, you got time for that?
Yeah.
Pretty quick. I should ask first, you guys to talk about it a little bit. Do people have a feel about it?
Well, we've
We're
talked a
starting
little,
to
we're
talk
starting
more
to
and more
talk,
about
yeah,
it.
we've talked about it a little bit.
I'm here to request that you do a moratorium on it if possible, because it's getting to be a serious issue. Not only my area, but other areas. Here's a dummy one. Here's one, Lakewood, the village of Lakewood, New York, put together one. And, like myself, we now have two. I know, one of my neighbors, came and saw you. Since then, we now have another. It's very difficult because it's like putting a motel in the middle of, you know, a residential area, especially if they're a successful one, like the one behind me is very, I don't wanna point out everyone, 'cause it's not very fair, only because there's no law against it. You know, so, yeah, so it's not really like they're doing anything
But
wrong.
do they own the house? I
Yeah.
mean, do they live in the house? or-
No.
Yeah, they live someplace else.
Yeah, so you're
And
not
that's
really
the
getting
problem.
a
We got
feel for it.
It's like an absentee
Yeah.
landlord.
Yeah,
That's what we're
the,
doing. Yeah.
like I say, I don't wanna speak against the folks that do it, because really, in our town, there's no law against it, so they're
But
not
don't
doing it
forget,
wrong.
when you got absentee landlords, you know what you get.
But the trouble too is, these areas like where I am, most of these ones that I've seen, they're in a congested area, and you know how it is by the lake. Those homes used to be camps, now they're, you know, they've taken the camp structure down and built maybe a nice home. So you're putting a nuisance in a highly taxed area, you know what I mean, in some respects. So it's causing a lot of duress.
What have you seen?
I taught an entire seminar on this last year 3 different times, and it all started out in Lake Placid with how people they realized they could make more money on these short-term rentals than they could long-term rentals, like 10 times over. But the negative impacts were some of the short-time renters treated the property and the neighborhoods like you treat a rental car. Noise, parties, damage. And then there's also a lack of regulation for occupancy tax and things like that. So a lot of communities are doing it. It all comes down to how you define it, what regulations you want to put in there. A lot of our clients have adopted modified versions that, you know, trying to balance it out, like how many weeks per out of a year to put a limit on it. So if you do the moratorium, that's a good idea, and I would say you throw together a committee of stakeholders, a board member to, you know, maybe somebody from the neighborhood that's got an interest in it. You come up with some version of what you want. Now, you're not gonna be able to stop these in the short term, as you know. You can put a moratorium on them. Enforcement on that's so hard to do. You know, the way you do it is you go onto these sites and you look and see who's got
Alright,
little
now,
stars.
now, is there like a registration for these things or something?
You would-
That's what I was
That's
gonna
what you would create.
Yeah.
You would have the town would have a registration process. I can show you what I can show Carrie what some of these look like.
I asked Larry to find out from the county, because the county gets a 4% tax on it, right, if they go through.
Well,
one
they
of
know about it.
If they know about
it. yeah.
Casanova just
So-
adopted one last year.
So Larry tried to contact the county and they wouldn't tell him anything. They wouldn't tell him, we didn't want to know where, we just
Well,
wanted
you
to
need
know
to
how
come over
many.
and see me when you got a question like
Yeah,
that.
well, we didn't, this
I'll
is
take care of
just short,
that.
this is like on the cuff, what happens with,
It's a question.
with, you know, being involved in the neighborhood and being previously involved here, they said, what do we do? I said, well, the first thing you have to do is request what, you know, if you get a moratorium and you get some people together and try to formulate an idea, because I was thinking about it today, the stock market's terrible, what a good investment to buy a place and rent it out short term. And so we're kind of sitting ducks in a way with no laws whatsoever. So just, again, I think anything you can do would be helpful. But that's basically, if you look at over on page 2, it shows you.
Moratorium's gonna help us, I mean.
Well,
Or
it's
what
up
you're
to
saying.
you. I mean, theoretically, if you pass a moratorium, you put everybody in notice, hey, you're not supposed to do this. And then, again, if you do it, nobody gets into the grandfathering. While you're doing, you might be studying this for 2 or 3 months. Nobody can try to grandfather because we don't have a rule against this. So that, what I'm saying is, even though you're doing a moratorium, you're not gonna stop anybody, practically speaking, from continuing to rent their places. You don't have the manpower to chase everybody down. But you do cut off people grandfathering that use into their property, saying, hey, I did this before you passed a law saying I couldn't without these rules in place. So it's not a bad idea. Most places would do a moratorium.
I don't wanna come off too, there's a lot of people that have rented out, you know, summer cottages or summer rentals. They've done a good job for years, but now it's something more lucrative. It's just evolving into a moneymaker.
Well, see, that's the problem, though. You're gonna catch those ones that have been
Yeah.
responsible.
Yeah, that's why, again, it has to be, I think something has to be involved with time and how much you can do it. And I think there needs to be some sort of involvement, even, it is a business. You know, what if the place is awful? You know, it catches fire.
There's
People in there.
inspections and everything that have to happen.
Gary, do we know how many we're talking about?
John will have to help us with that, because the county,
I can
I'll
tell you
find out from the
this,
county. Well, I can only give you how many are being taxed. I can't give you how many aren't being taxed.
yeah, and there's a percent, it's really not a huge moneymaker if you're not on those sites that rent it for you. Because verbal, it's hard to do. Like, I can't even imagine most of the ones that have been doing it for years, they're a verbal. And they've got clients that maybe come up from like New Jersey or, you know, wherever, and rent the same cottage or same house for a week or two. Those are under control. But it's just this, for example, the day they had Micron come in, you know, and announce all that, there must have been 8 or 10 guys behind me, all, you know, in suits. They were all in this one house, got all picked up in a van. But in the meantime, there's a lot of people in and out. And you take these neighborhoods like they're in, you know how close knit they are. And they stare and say, there we go, here's another 6 or 8, 10 people. It just is an issue that really needs to be looked at before it's.
See, that money's a Fed tax, and that goes directly to tourism. We don't keep any of that, it goes right to tourism, so I'll find out. But the problem is, as you know, that we're gonna catch the ones that have been responsible for the ones that haven't been responsible. Like I always say, we wouldn't need a dog catcher if everybody was a responsible pet owner.
Oh, yes. Again, it really should come to your limelight now, because it's growing.
Oh, yeah, and it's not gonna get any better.
No, and then you take the folks like over by me, you know, right away, they pay a lot to live on the land.
Well,
You know?
so could you get us a couple of laws? Have you done a couple of laws?
Done more
To
than
get
that.
us some examples then,
Get you
and
some
we'll look them
examples.
over,
We don't need to be, you know, like Taz or Skinny Atlas, but I just think that we could probably tweak something together that at least it might deter the people that you don't want owning.
I'll get you a handful of what I think are like down the middle ones.
Okay.
Great.
Then what we'll do is we'll get them over to you, and you can talk to some people down there and see what you think.
Those folks are willing to get involved, you know, and they're not, how do you say, they're not just totally negative.
No, I know.
They just wanna get a handle.
Now's a
wanna
good
do
time
it with or
to,
without hardware?
now's a good time to look at it.
Oh, yeah.
Now is a good time to look at it.
Please,
With
yeah,
the
that's why I
growth
came.
of Onondaga County and the influx of people in and out.
Page 2 on this one from Lakewood they describe all the things that could be an issue or, you know, have been an issue.
No.
And you can pick through there and say, these aren't an issue for our town. You know, I don't, like I say, it's not Skinny Atlas or Cavs, it's Town Salt. And if we could just get a good handle on it.
Actually, I've run into people now that will hesitate selling their property and look into the potential of.
Yeah.
Supplemental income.
Especially on the lake.
Regular retirees are using.
I stared at the property I just bought and said, boy, I could put 3 of them on there. But I'm not gonna.
So do you wanna do
I
a
stared at
moratorium
it,
for this
thinking,
or not?
The nice church lady?
oh, no, blessed lady,
Oh,
she's
okay.
doing good still. She asked about it.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's still going? I
She's
said,
good.
no. John will tell you after I purchased this property next to me, and it's just, with lake rights, it's ideal. But obviously, I'm not doing it, I don't want anybody kicking the dog or anything. But it's definitely lucrative, it really is.
I get 1 or 2 calls a week if we allow Airbnbs in our town.
And what's your answer?
I refer them to the county to register,
Who do you send it to down there?
the clerk's office,
Mike's
the
office?
taxation office.
He's getting the money.
Well, send him to Kevin no more.
Yeah.
He likes his money. Hey, he'll ask him, are you paying taxes? Say, yeah, oh yeah, we allow that.
At worst case, you probably should be registered, you know.
That's the main part of any law.
And-
That's-
Yeah, they gotta be registered.
And seriously inspected.
So what do you do if they're not registered, they can't do it, you
Well,
fine them?
you'd get fined, inspected, fined, and chased.
Cause you know what's gonna happen,
I know.
you know, but, I'm fine with that, but the noise ordinance, you know what happens when we go down that road.
That's a different matter, you don't
No,
have
you
to do a
can't.
noise, you don't have to have a noise component with a short-term rental law, you can decide.
Can have a parking ordinance,
A what?
parking.
Well, you address there's a plan they have to prepare, he has to look at it and sign off on it. You have rules about how many parking spaces you can have.
That's important too,
Well,
because most of those roads are very narrow.
Well,
we got-
we
That
had
was
one
one of the
person come in and
Yeah.
talk about it, and then
We
Beth
need
and I
to-
took a ride down on the road, and one of the neighbors came out and said, that's not a problem. So, you know, you get the neighborhood
Oh, yeah.
going.
But I did the same thing, Carrie. I said, oh, there's a problem. I said, wonder how many verbos are down there.
Yeah,
And you pull up their map and you're like, oh man.
yeah.
I did not realize how many of these short-term rentals are down on the lake. There's a lot.
It's just a concern, just mostly too, because of it's still, it's a high rent district. You know, so you really,
Well, it's desirable, you're on the lake.
But people would come in and quietly enjoy that. No one would ever have said a word.
no, and again, even the folks that, I gotta have respect for the people that are attached to one to my property, because they take very good care of it. But it's rented a lot.
Are they, the people that run it usually very respectful?
It's moderate. You can
Okay.
always hit, you know, as it progresses, that's what happens. You get away with an inch, you get away with an inch more, you know.
Bachelor parties.
So far, there's been no one in my pool or anything. But like I say, it's very important to me to at least get the ball rolling.
Okay, well, it's rolling.
All right, do you wanna do this with or without first having a moratorium? That's your first question.
I think you need to discuss it amongst.
So we'll, alright, so you wanna discuss it amongst ourselves before we do anything, and we'll take action.
Just so you
at the
don't
next meeting?
say or do anything that you regret.
Alright, we'll talk about it, we'll do something in the
Yeah.
morning meeting.
And if I need to
And
come, if I need to
John
come there, just
include in
email.
on these laws.
Yeah, if I need to come
That would be good.
see you, just email me.
So you'll have a
Thank you.
moratorium law for us, John?
Well, no, I think you're gonna decide if you want that.
Okay.
That one's
That's a
pretty
local
close.
law to public.
Even the
hearing.
one that I provided for you, that's pretty,
Okay.
it's not that, complicated.
That's a standard, but I'll wait until the board directs me to compare that, because it is a local law.
And you're gonna see more and more of this, yeah. Okay. Ma'am, do you have something for us? You just here to listen? Okay. Yes, sir.
So, question on the streetlights that I briefly
Yeah.
talked to you about, and social media's been getting blown up about it.
I
We've been
forgot
getting a
to
lot
talk to
of-
Beth about that.
Alright, so we've been getting a lot of phone calls of recent. Right now, I know there's 5 lights out between Dad's Ice Cream and the Wild. 5. I think there's 6 or 7 on Violet Road. So we have it posted on our website, and when people call us, we say, call National Grid, here's a number, give them your address and the pole number. But then we get a call back that National Grid says it's not their pole, or not their responsibility. That's
Well, this
probably
is my
80
fault because Andy called me
Oh,
I was supposed to talk
Probably
to you
80 to
about.
90% of the time,
Yeah.
so is there any way that, I mean, because they call the highway department, they think it's our responsibility, they want us to do something.
It is National Grid's responsibility, correct?
correct, what they're telling them though is because it's a special district, so the special districts, everything has to go through us to be able to talk to National Grid. That being said, I called National Grid myself, they could have called me 4 times in the past 3 months on the light and bridge in Bridgeport, and they haven't gotten to it, so. I know National Grid's got problems with help and everything, but.
Bruce, get that camera back over here.
So,
So what I'm gonna do, because we've got a problem with National Grid, I'm gonna call my friends at the Power Authority, National Grid, and we'll see if we get any response out of them, because 3 or 4 months is unacceptable, and what
I don't
Andy's
know
telling
about
me
the
is there's a ton of them.
situation. I don't know, nobody's called us on that situation,
Yep.
so I don't know anything.
Well, I've got
about
some
that.
friends at the Power Authority, so we'll get a little action maybe out of National Grid, see how they like that, so.
so what, I mean, do you have a contact to do with the lighting district, or are you
I have a
based?
contact that I talk to, usually what happens is, they call here, they give us a phone number, I call National Grid.
I mean, is there any that way that we could take that off our hands as far as if we get calls?
If I'm not making headway on it,
Okay.
I don't think you're gonna make that
Well,
way
no, I'm
out,
just
but
saying,
either
I
way,
just feel
I
like,
would let John do what John's gonna do
Okay.
first.
or I
and then
email
we'll
you
go
a
from there.
list of what
That's
I
fine,
have for
that's
phone
fine,
numbers.
that's fine.
I just don't wanna drop the ball. I don't wanna drop the ball and say, you know, I called over. that I
Yeah,
didn't know
it's a
if
street
they-
lighting, it's not a highway issue,
Right.
technically, it's a special district, which is our area, so, yeah, send over to me, and between John and I, I'm sure we will get it taken.
Okay. If we get the information, we can even send you an email with that.
Do you wanna know what's going on?
North Road and Hitchcock One.
And
And it was like, yeah.
Yep, just give me the poll, because they won't do anything with it from me without a phone number, so put it on the poll right there.
And that's why when people call, it's
Yeah.
important to get your address and phone number, which,
I get the name from the person, I get the address from the person, I get a phone number from the person, and I get a phone number. That way, when I talk to National Grid, if they're out there and they have questions, they call me and say, ooh, hey, you know, get a hold of the person. That's how it
So
used
we're
to
all in
work.
agreement. We get the phone number, we get the address, we get their phone number, and we get no action out of National Grid. We will get some, I guarantee you.
You got it.
Yes. Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Sorry about that. I put everything else, so. Okay, is anybody, yes, Art?
I saw the wetlands and solar project on the agenda, and I wanted to ask about the Chittenango solar project because, and the question is, why are we spending taxpayer money through the planning board on B&L engineering fees
You're
and attorney for the
It's a good
seeker?
question, and you're not, they're
When
paying for
the
it.
ZBA has not yet agreed to vacate the 1,000-foot wetland setback to 0.
Because of the, that's because of the seeker process, Art. It's a good question, which is the planning board is the lead agency for seeker. The zoning board is stuck until the planning board decides if the solar project's gonna have a negative environmental impact, because the planning board is the one that got that job. So it's a tinkers to Evers to chance thing, which starts with the planning board, let them get through their lead agency stuff. If they do, then it goes to the zoning board to grant the variance that these folks need. If they get that, back to the planning board for a special use permit and site plan approval. So there's some, these things are the biggest projects the town are gonna see, generally speaking, unless we get something massive. So there's a double check process, planning board and zoning board. The town's not spending any money because the applicant's required to reimburse the town for our engineer's review of their application. So there should be no outlay of town money.
But as a follow-up, are they gonna reimburse the town for attorney's fees going through this extensive
Yes.
seeker?
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Good question.
Can I follow up?
Sure.
If we're landowners, when you're with that.
Can I have your name and address, ma'am?
It's Irma Boswell, 8243 Lakeport Road. If we live across from where they're trying to put one of these solar farms, do we have any?
Yes, you have a say. There will be a public hearing at both the planning board and zoning board levels. So be on the lookout for that. You can call
Will
and
we be
check.
getting something in the mail?
Yeah,
like the
they're
first
supposed
time?
to get you're supposed to get a notice. So there's a direct notice for people within how many feet for
500.
500. You within 500?
Right across the
You're
road.
within, okay, you'll get a notice. Keep checking the website though, because there's a lot of information on the website. You can always call Jerry at some point. Anything that's gonna happen is gonna happen probably at a regularly scheduled zoning planning board. So we have the specific nights that the zoning board meets and the specific night that the planning board meets. So
How long does it take for the seekers?
it runs the gamut. I had one over in a town nearby, it took almost a year to get through the seeker. I've had other ones where there weren't a lot of issues, it took maybe 3-4 months to get through it. And shorter, I mean, I've heard of them being shorter, so, yeah, it depends. They're looking at a lot of factors, because these things, again, they take up, acres and acres and acres of property. They wanna look at all of the aspects of their surrounding properties, drainage, everything, aesthetics, the whole thing.
And I won't get on and think about those things. So I'll spare her, but, so, yeah, okay. You good?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, nobody else? Okay, we need to go into executive session for advice of counsel. Need a motion for that, please?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Martin, second. Second by Mr. Bershkevich. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?